Hi, I'm Steve Bourie, and I am the author of the American Casino Guidebook. If you're not familiar with us, please be sure to visit our website at americancasinoguidebook.com. Joining me today is my son and the editor of the American Casino Guidebook, Matt Bourie.
How's it going, everybody? And our video today is the 6 best rules for blackjack players.
All right, our video today is about the 6 best rules for blackjack players. And the person we're going to speak with is an expert on blackjack. His name is Henry Tamburin. He's been writing about casino gambling for about 35 years or so. And I've known him a long time, and I'm a fan of his books. A series he had was Blackjack, Take the Money and Run, Craps, Take the Money and Run. I think he had one on smarter casino gambling. And in my library over here, I have one of his books, Henry Tamburin on Gambling, The Best of the Best, which was part of his series of books on casino gambling. So again, today we're going to talk about the 6 best rules for blackjack players.
And the reason we're talking about blackjack rules is because what a lot of people might not understand is that as the rules of the blackjack game change, it changes the house edge of the game. And these rules vary from casino to casino, and they even sometimes vary from table to table within a casino. And some rules are good for the players, some rules are bad for the players. In our video today, we're going to go over the 6 best rules for the players, meaning that all these rules we're going to speak about today lower the house edge, meaning a basic strategy player will lose less money in the long run. And all of the rules we're going to be talking about are based on a baseline game of blackjack that uses 6 decks. The dealer stands on soft 17 and it pays 3-2 for a blackjack. And anyways, here's Henry Tamburin.
The first best rule, and this isn't common, but it is a wonderful rule for players, and that's when blackjack pays 2-1. Now, you're not going to find that many times in a casino, and generally it's offered during a casino promotion, and it's usually a limited time promotion. I played these 2-1 blackjack games usually when it's Father's Day or Valentine's Day. The reason this is such a great deal or a great rule is because it lowers the house edge by 2.25%. That basically means when you're playing that game, for whatever time the casino has it in effect, you're going to be playing with an advantage without even using card counter.
Now, I've heard, I have many friends that play blackjack, and I've heard some very interesting stories about 2-1 blackjack. I believe you mentioned Valentine's Day. I believe they called it the Valentine's Day Massacre. I forget where it was, but if you ever see this, you want to sit down and play nonstop. Do not stop playing, just basic strategy, and you will win money in the long run. Pretty much guaranteed.
Right.
Now, do you know Bill Zinder?
Yes.
Henry? Yeah, because we did a video with him and we were talking about mistakes that casinos make. A lot of times this is one of the big mistakes that they make. They'll run a promotion to have 2-1 on a blackjack, and it actually, like you say, gives the player the advantage. But I think a lot of casinos now, they may only do it for suited blackjacks. So that cuts it down to only a quarter of that number you gave, because it's 1 out of 4 then?
Yes, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But believe it or not, last year there was a casino promotion in Mississippi where they went out with 2-for-1 or 2-1, and you'd be surprised how many professional blackjack players as well as recreational players will get on that game. And I can tell you a lot of the pros will actually pay a player who's sitting there waiting for this promotion to start and say, look, I'll give you a couple $100 if you give me your seat. Mm-hmm. So it's a very valuable promotion. And you can find these things from your local casino. If you look in your mailers or their websites, they'll usually promote this. So this is really a good deal. And if you find out about it, you want to try and take advantage of it.
Okay, good.
The second best rule, and this isn't so common in the U.S. anymore, but it certainly is common in casinos overseas, and this is early surrender. Now, the surrender rule in blackjack, you won't find it on every game. Usually it's on multi-deck games. But the surrender rule simply means once you get your initial 2 cards, if you don't think your chances of winning are very good because you're dealt a weak hand, like let's say a 10 and a 6, and the dealer is showing an ace, the chances of winning are not very good. In casinos that allow surrender, you have the option of telling the dealer either verbally, or you take your finger and you make a line across the felt, and that's a signal, hand signal for surrender. And when you do that, the dealer will remove half of your initial bet. So if you bet $10 on the hand, the dealer will keep 5 and leave you 5, and then she'll remove the cards in front of you, and you're basically out of that round. There are 2 types of surrender. One is called early, which is very good, and one is called late, which is still good. The early surrender, this occurs when the casino dealer does not peek at her down card if she has an ace, for example, or a 10. So if you're playing in a casino and the dealer has an ace and you have a 16, and she's not going to peek until all players complete their hands, and you have an opportunity to surrender with a poor hand, even if the dealer subsequently gets a blackjack. So early surrender will cut that house edge down by 0.63%.
Most blackjack games only have like a 0.5% or to 0.75% anyway. So yeah, that's a huge, I feel like that's a huge advantage for the players if you can find that.
I'll tell you a sideline when Atlantic City first opened up, and it was a 6-deck game with dealers standing on soft 17, had all the good rules. And the reason they implemented early surrender wasn't, they didn't know about early surrender. They just wanted, for security purposes, the dealer not to reveal or not to look at her down card. The legislative body, the Casino Control Commission, felt strongly that if the dealer doesn't have to look at her down card, then there's no possibility of collusion with players, as opposed to if she had to peek. So they implemented that rule for security reasons. And when they announced the rules of that game, and I noticed, that, hey, with this rule that the dealer can't peek until after everybody plays their hand, there's something special here, because there wasn't any U.S. casino that I knew of, and I had to get a mathematician to actually calculate for me, one, what was the effect of the house edge, and more importantly, which hands you have to surrender with early surrender. And there's a whole bunch of them. So that was a tremendous advantage, if you wish, for players in that era.
I'm sure it was very hard to do before computers. I feel like that would have been easy to calculate now. Back in the 70s, not so much.
Well, the person who did it for me was using a Radio Shack TR-80 computer, which was one of the first ones that you could buy. He did all my blackjack studies.
It probably took about 24 hours to do it, too.
That's right. We would do, I don't know, about maybe 100,000 hands, and it took 24 hours to do it, but we did it. Okay, so early surrender, 0.63%. Late surrender, which is what you'll find in the U.S. casinos that offer surrender, that occurs that you can surrender your hand, but only after the dealer peeks at her down card. So that's not as valuable as early surrender. So we said early surrender is 0.63, late surrender is 0.07. But even a small amount like 0.07, if you start adding up all of these favorable rules, you can see how you can get it down to 0.5% or less. The next best rule is a single deck game. Now, a lot of people don't consider that a rule, and you're probably right. It's a condition of the game. But I look at the number of decks that are being used in a blackjack game as part of the overall rules. As a general rule, if you go from a 6-deck game to, say, a double-deck game, if all the other rules are more or less comparable, you're going to reduce the house edge. And if you go down to a single-deck game, it's going to be reduced even more. But again, you have to factor in the other rules. But if you look at apples to apples, our base game, the 6-deck base game to the single deck, you can reduce it down about 0.58%. But most single deck games aren't going to allow the dealer to stand on soft 17. That's too good a game. So if you go to a single deck game, it'll have where the dealer has to hit soft 17. And even that game, the house edge compared to our base game, you're going to reduce the house edge by 0.35%.
Now, I gotta say though, all these people are going to say, oh, single deck blackjack. Let me go run into the casino and look for that. I'm going to say, on top of hitting soft 17, I would say a vast majority of the single deck games are also going to short you on the blackjack and only pay 6 to 5 instead of 3 to 2, or even, God forbid, even money. So if you see a single deck game, don't go running to it. Make sure you check the other rules, like Henry said, because those games can get pretty ugly.
Yes. If you take the time and watch my video on the 6 worst blackjack rules, you'll see what rule number 1 is, and that is exactly what Matt said, that you want to avoid 6 to 5 games and those that even pay even money, which you'll find in party pits. So take a look at my 6 worst blackjack game video. Okay, let's get back. The next best rule for a player is the implementation of doubling after pair splitting. An example, suppose you're dealt a pair of 2s and the dealer has a 6. You split your 2s, the dealer gives you a 9 on your first 2. Now you're sitting there with an 11. You want to be able to double down on that 11. If the casino allows it, that's good. If the casino does not allow you to double down on that 11, then your next best strategy is to hit it. But by not allowing you to double down after pair splitting, it costs you 0.14%. By having it, it'll decrease that house edge by 1.14%. So that's an important rule, and you want to make sure that it's in there in that set of rules that you're going to be playing. And generally, if you look at the little placard that sits on the table, they generally will have a summary of the rules, and if you don't know, ask the dealer. You want to
that's another thing we should point out here is a lot of people don't know. If you sit at a table and you don't know the rules, just ask the dealer. The dealer, I think they have to tell you. They're always going to tell you. Just sit down. Hey, can I double after split? Or, hey, can I surrender? Just no harm in asking.
That's a good point.
And I'm going to jump in here, Henry. We're talking about double after split. So the casino will let you split any pair when they have this rule in effect. And if you had a 10 card, say you had a 10 and a jack, that's considered 2 10 cards, and you can split your 10s. But is it advisable for anyone to split 10s? And if so, when would you want to do it?
No. When you have 2 picture cards or 2 cards that total 20, you never want to split them. And I can't tell you how many players in my lifetime I've seen split 10s when the dealer shows a 6. That is a horrible play. The only time you should split 10s is if you're a card counter. And even that play will draw attention because not many people split 10s. And I can tell you, people always ask me, how does the casino know that you're card counting? All the pitfalls has to do is to watch a player betting a certain amount, and all of a sudden he gets a pair of 10s, and he's got a big bet out. And when he does that, he'll split them. And that rings a bell in the casino manager's office and surveillance that, hey, we better watch this player. He's either a very smart player or he's not too smart. And he's just a player that is clueless about playing strategy. So if you're not card counting, you don't want to split a pair of 10. Never.
There's only 2 people. There's only 2 people that split 10s, card counters and idiots.
Okay, the next one this is a good one, re-splitting aces. If you're playing in a casino, the standard rule is if you get a pair of aces, you can split them. Now what happens if your draw card to one of the ace is another ace? If a casino won't allow you to re-split, that's a horrible situation. Now you're stuck with an ace and an ace, which totaled 12. So you want to make sure, as a good rule, that the casino allows you to re-split aces. So in my example, if you have a pair of aces and you split them, and you get another ace, you can re-split and play 3 hands. And most casinos, if they allow re-splitting, they'll let you re-split up to 4 hands. And that rule will also cut the house edge by 0.07%.
Now, most casinos won't let you do that. Will they? Unless you're at a higher limit table. I know in Las Vegas, if you're like a $50 or $100 table, they'll have that rule in there. But at the lower limit tables, I don't believe they have it.
No, they'll have it on
They
6
will?
games. Now, on the real, $5 games, I'm not so sure, but
I think about 25 minimum and up, I think they offer it.
I mean,
Now, one other thing to point out here is the reason you said if you resplit, unlike any other hand in blackjack, if you resplit aces, you don't get to act after that. You don't get to hit. You don't get the option to hit or stand. They just give you one card and that's it. Which is why if you resplit, if you have two aces and you split and get another ace, you're kind of screwed because you have a 12 and you got nothing you can do with it.
That's right. Okay, that basically sums up the 6 best rules. These are the rules you want to look for when you play blackjack. Don't just go in a casino and jump in on the first empty seat at the table. Take a look at the table, look at the words on the layout, ask the dealer if you're not sure. Your best game, again, is one where the dealer or the house pays 3-2 for blackjack. They offer DAS, they have maybe surrender and resplit aces. And by playing a game with a mix of these rules, you can cut that house edge down in a 6-bet game to 0.5% or less. And that's going to increase your chances of having a winning session.
All right, Henry Tamburin, thank you for being with us today. Now, if people want to get more information about you and blackjack and your background, and you have a very extensive website with loads of information on blackjack. Would that be the best place to get in touch with you or to see your information?
Yes, I have a blackjack book. It took me a year to write this thing. It basically encompasses everything I've learned and all the stuff I've experienced in 40 years of playing. And it's free to read. You have to go to 888casino.com/blog. And in there you will see my ultimate blackjack strategy guide. And then in another section on that page, it says writers, and you click on my name. And I have a whole series of articles on blackjack strategy, including when I first started playing blackjack, the first time I was barred, how I did in tournaments, and all kinds of other good stuff.
Okay, I know I've been to that website many times and seen your blackjack articles. It's great. You must have dozens of strategy charts there and comparisons to games and good rules and bad rules. So it's an excellent resource for people who want more information on blackjack. Henry, thanks very much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you.
All right, so that does it for our interview with Henry Tamburin. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the bell and turn on all notifications so you never miss any of our other great videos.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you like to play at internet casinos, we have another website at AmericanCasinoBonuses.com. You can go there. There's about 25, 30 different offers. You don't have to deposit any money. You don't have to put in any credit card information. You can go and take advantage of these free no deposit offers and enjoy playing at casinos for free. Again, AmericanCasinoBonuses.com. Thanks again for watching, and best wishes for good luck in the casinos.